Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And writing Sunday papers.
I've never wrote a paper in my life.
What about
Just
school?
kidding. I literally write papers for a living.
Oh, newspapers?
No.
Oh. Today we're doing a sponsored Kickstarter preview of...
Fit to Print.
Is this project fit to print?
It definitely is. Fit to Print is published by Flat Out Games, it's designed by Peter McPherson, and the art is done by Ian O'Toole.
The real dream team right there.
Yeah.
In Fit to Print, you will be ahead of a newspaper agency.
You sure are.
Who will be printing a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday edition of a paper. And trying to make sure that their paper is the best paper in the beautiful, cozy town of Fit to Print.
One can say the most profitable.
Profitable and informative.
And informative.
Informative is important.
And feel good.
And feel good.
Or feel neutral.
The evening hoot.
Well, with that out of the way, let's give you a quick overview of how to play Fit to Print.
As always, you'll begin by setting up. Each player will get a front page board, a player aid or character card, and a 3D desk. Each player will place their front page board in front of themselves with the Friday, Saturday side face up. You'll then place all the newspaper tiles face down in the middle of the table where all players can reach them and shuffle them thoroughly. You'll shuffle the starting centerpiece tiles in the face-up stack and deal out one to each of the players to start with. You'll prepare a timer, placing it within view of all players, setting it to the desired time you want to play. 3 minutes for frantic, 4 for standard, or 5 for relaxed. Last, you'll place the finishing tokens within easy reach of all players, lined up in order from lowest to highest. You only use the amount equal to the player count. You can now begin. Now, Fit to Print is played over 3 rounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In each round, you'll be assembling and putting together a paper to go out for all the citizens. Now, this paper will include articles, photos, and ads to ensure that you can stay in business. Now, there's no turns in Fit to Print. Each round will be played simultaneously over 2 phases. Let's go over them. First, the reporting phase. In this phase, you'll take tiles from the center of the table. To do this, you'll use only one hand, pick up a tile from the center of the table. It can be either face up or face down. However, if it's face down, you'll have to bring it above your 3D desk or front page board and flip it face up. You'll then decide if you want to keep it or put it back. If you choose to put it back, you'll place it in the back in the middle of the table face up. Now, if you choose to keep it, you'll have to place it on your 3D desk. But once it's placed there, you'll have to keep that tile and cannot return it back to the center. Now let's go over what some of these tiles are. The most part of any newspapers are the articles. Articles will have a point value of 1 or 2 based on their size and come in 3 types denoted by their color, pattern, and font. Sports and entertainment, news, and business and technology. Articles of the same type may not be orthogonally adjacent to one another, and they'll have good news or bad news associated with these icons. Now, photos are worth 1 point per orthogonally adjacent article type of a specific type or mood indicated by an icon on each tile. Photos also cannot be orthogonally adjacent to each other. Ads are not worth any points, but generate ad revenue for your newspaper. Now, the ad revenue is indicated by the dollar signs on the tile. At the end of the game, the player with the lowest ad revenue goes out of business and is not eligible for victory. In a 2-player game though, they'll simply get a point penalty. The last thing to note is mood. Article tiles have a mood, they're either good or bad news. Good news is denoted by a yellow smiley face, while bad news is denoted with a blue frowny face. Your paper has a mood determined by the difference of your smiley and frowny faces icons. Now, unless your mood is perfectly balanced and you have the same amount of icons of each, you'll receive a mood penalty, which is negative points equal to the difference between the smiley and the frowny faces. And that's the tiles. Once you're content with the number of tiles you've taken and you think they will fit in your front page, you'll yell layout. You'll now proceed to the layout phase and cannot take any more tiles from the center. Now, in the layout phase, you'll dump all your tiles from your desk and begin arranging them on your player board. You can rearrange the tiles as much as you like during the layout phase, but the following placement rules must be followed. Tiles must fit within the lines of the grid and cannot go over the boundary of the grid for that round. Your centerpiece must cover the star square on the top half of the front page. And all articles, photos, and ads must be placed upright. Tiles can never be rotated in any way. There's words and pictures on them. There's a few adjacency rules as well, which we talked about earlier. Articles of the same color cannot be adjacent to each other's, ads cannot be adjacent to each other, and photos may not be adjacent to each other. If this is the case at the end of the game, they'll simply be flipped over and not scored. Now lastly, tiles may go over the fold of the newspaper, the shadow line in the middle, and they may be flipped over and placed face down with their tile back showing. They still must be placed upright though. Now, face down tiles are not worth any points, but they may help you to fill in the white space and avoid having leftover tiles on your desk. Now, when you're finished laying out your paper, which does not require you to place all your tiles, you'll say print. You'll take the lowest unclaimed finishing token. Once you have this token, you may no longer place, rearrange, or touch your main board. Now, when the timer runs out or all players say print, the round ends and each of the players' paper is scored. Let's go over scoring. Articles will earn points equal to the total number shown on each tile. Photos earn points equal to the number of orthogonally adjacent articles of a specific type, color, or mood. Your centerpiece tile will also earn you points according to its text. You'll then check your mood balance, which is determined by finding the difference between the smiley and the frowny faces. Unless it's perfectly balanced, this number is your mood penalty and will be a negative number. Then you'll take a look at your white space. White space is determined by counting the largest area of an adjacent empty squares on the grid. Players compare their largest areas of white space. The player or players with the smallest area of squares receive 3 points. The player with the largest area will lose 1 point, while every other player will obtain 1 point. Now you'll take a look at any unplaced tiles you have left on your desk. These will count as a negative point each. Lastly, ads do not earn you points, but you'll earn the ad revenue equal to the number of dollar signs on the tile. Points and ad revenue are totaled from one round to the next so that players know their standings going into each of the rounds. Now after each round, you'll set aside the U centerpiece tile and place all the newspaper tiles from players' front page boards face down in the center of the table, shuffling them thoroughly. Now at the end of the Friday and Saturday rounds, you'll lay out 1 centerpiece tile per player. The player with the lowest numbered finishing token gets the first choice of the available centerpiece tile, followed by the player with the next, and so on. Players will use these centerpiece tiles in the following rounds and should place them on their front page board. Now you'll keep playing for 2 more rounds, and after the Sunday round, the game ends. The player that has the lowest ad revenue will go out of business and is not eligible to win. And the remaining player with the highest score wins. Will your paper be the talk of the town? Or will you go out of business?
So, what do we think? What are the main things we want to highlight about this game?
Well, first of all, it is a real-time game.
Yes.
Which can be scary sometimes because I think the association of real-time games often goes to those older board games that are very like frantic rush and you don't really know what's going to win.
And then at the end of it, it's all just going to pop out at you.
So what is that game?
Oh,
do you remember?
Geez.
I don't know. Anyway, well, this game takes that real-time element of it and really turns it on its head. I think because you're working in 2 different rounds, trying to obtain all the stories and all the articles and all the ads, and then apply them in your layout before it goes to print, I think you're trying to utilize time as a resource in this game.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the thing is like, you have a set amount of time to do both things. So you can, if you know you're really good at laying out your paper, or you've got like a really good sense of what you need to be doing, you can take a smaller amount of time to do the layout. You can really focus on grabbing the right types of articles, ads, or whatever it may be, so that your paper is c'est magnifique.
Same. Well, and the paper grows as well. So as the days continue, you'll be taking more. So you always adapt. And I think this is a learning game. I think I've played this game countless times now. But each time I'm like, I got the perfect amount of tiles, and then I have too many or too little. It's so hard to get it right because the paper changes consistently, which I really like. And it's very thematic as well too, because that Sunday paper is where the heart of all the stories are at. So you really have to make sure you create the best paper there can be.
Yeah, and so we've talked about this already, that it is a real-time game, but Flat Out Games and Peter McPherson have taken some time to create variants where you don't have to worry about the time. You can play this game and just enjoy it for the puzzle that it is, which is actually a lot of fun, and it's tough, it's hard, like you learn as you go. All the same things that we've kind of already talked about apply to this variant that is not time related.
Yeah, there's a few. So you can there's a solo version
Right.
that has the puzzle variant. So it gives you the pieces that you have, and you basically are trying to put the puzzle together and master it.
Perfectly.
Then what you were talking about is the turn-based variant. So you're
Yes.
not rushing, you're actually taking turns picking the tiles.
It's like a draft.
So yeah, it makes it a bit less stressful. It has that big time factor. And there's also a family-friendly mode to make it even easier and make it more accessible for everyone to come enjoy the game. So I think there's a lot of different ways that people can really enjoy this game.
They've got recommended times if you do stick with the real time of like a easy, normal, and like
I think that's
difficult.
frantic.
Yeah.
So there's like you can do everything in 3 minutes, which I think is a little bit fun.
A lot, but
But yeah, the 3, 4, 5 minutes also means that it's not a really long game to play. Because if you play 4 minutes each round with scoring, it's about a 20-minute game.
Correct. Exactly.
I guess the next highlight I want to talk about is the thematic element of this game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the theme in this game is simply incredible. I think the fact that you're first of all trying to make sure you have enough ads to run the paper, and the person at the end of the game who has not raised enough money goes out of business.
Yes.
I think it's a really clever mechanic because ads don't really get you anywhere. Don't really help your paper, but they're a necessity in order to keep your operations afloat. And if someone completely neglects them, then bye-bye.
Exactly. Yeah. I think initially I thought that was like a tough thing to wrap my head around, but it creates, especially in a larger player game, it creates a lot of tension between the players, and then you're like fighting for making sure that you're not collecting enough ads, but also optimizing your points. And that can really be determined by the people you're playing with, because if there are people rushing for ads and you've got nothing, well, now all of a sudden you have to change your strategy and slam ads into your next print. And it's a lot of fun to just balance around that and play around that type of style, and then try not to get yourself eliminated.
Well, and all the aspects of the paper are very thematic, because you have the feel-good stories and more serious stories, and you want to try to balance those, because obviously you don't want to have a full of negative stories and just drown the world in sorrow.
Exactly.
You want to have a little bit of balance, and like, here, look, there's this fire that happened, but here's a puppy, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then trying to balance the photos with the articles to make sure it's cohesive, to make sure it has a presenting look. Everything in this game you're doing is extremely thematic, which is really cool.
Yes. Yeah, and don't forget about making sure you don't have a lot of white space, because at least contiguous groups of white space, because that's bad. And it is a little sore on the eye, so you gotta make sure you don't overdo the white space.
And even the real-time element of it, you only have a little amount of time to get that story, to get that good story, and it's a competition. If Tyler prints the story before me, I can't talk about it
I
because
snagged it.
there's no worth it. They're just gonna go read his paper.
And you've got this little table too that you've got to put all your articles on, and they have to stay there. So as you're collecting papers, it gets like stacked up and stacked up. So there's things at the bottom that you're like, I think I grabbed something like this. I think I did, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you grab it again, and then you get into this little fumble, and it's a lot of fun. Which brings me to my next highlight that I think is really important for this game, is that the experience that this game provides is by far one of the biggest highlights for me.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games that your friends are going to talk about. If you have this at the table, not only does it have a gorgeous table presence, and if you're playing the game, everyone's going to come be like, what is happening over there? Let's go look. Like, they look like they're wrestling, they're trying to get their paper together. But it is the highlight, it is the center of the table, and people are going to remember and say, hey, remember that game we played about papers? I want to play that again.
Yep.
Because it's just that type of game. It's an experience.
Yeah, and it's not one of those games that there may be some kind of strategy to it, as there probably are like really good headliner articles that you can pick up, but that outside of the strategy, the game really is pretty random in a sense where you're always going to be playing it differently. You're never going to get the exact same articles. You're always going to have to be juggling certain things. Another point back to the ads piece that we had already talked about. So you're going to have a different experience with the game all the time. Generally speaking, this game will bring you back, and you'll just want to keep on playing more of it.
What's really neat as well is the theme around it is based on this animal town. There's just a story to tell. I think this could have easily been industrial 1920s, crunch, extra paper, but I think this theme really draws much more individuals into this game and makes it a bit more accessible.
Well, I guess that like kind of brings us to our next point though, is like who would be interested in playing and trying out this game?
Well, if you really like puzzles and spatial aspects of how things go, this one can't touch this, but it can touch this. If it touches, it gets more points. If you're intrigued about real time, but maybe have been a bit aware of it, or wary of it, not aware.
Yep.
You can be aware of it as well, but maybe wary of it. This could be really interesting to try because I think it's really welcoming into that genre, but there's also variants that if you all of a sudden have a negative experience, you can shift and try it with some of the other ways.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other thing that I would probably mention with this is it's perfect for the family. I imagine it just being one of those games that you can bring over to a family gathering, pull out, easy to teach, easy to get to the table, and it plays up to 6 people. So you can have this experience with friends, families really quickly.
But then there'll be little tiles to choose from.
It makes it even better, actually. With a limited selection of things, you're very much on the crunch for picking the right articles. Yeah.
But no contact.
No contact sport. Board games are not a contact sport.
No, you gotta go gentle tile. Because what if the tile rips in two?
I mean, they have to stay on your table anyways.
That's true.
But to my point is I think it's a great game to get more people involved with board games. And I think it's a great experience for a wide variety of people. I know my parents would really enjoy this. If you have kids that you're trying to introduce board games with that are really into puzzles and fast-paced games, Fit to Print is probably something you'll want to check out as well. It's just got a lot of good things going for it that gives it a good reason to check out.
Yeah, there's a nice balance of mechanics, but it's quick, but also it's all simultaneous play.
Yeah.
So you're not waiting for turns. So if you have friends or family members that get into their phones and all of a sudden are disengaged from the game when it comes back around, this is a great game to draw people in because you're always playing at the same time and you will be utilizing that time to the best of your ability.
Exactly. That's about it
for Fit to Print.
If you want to learn more about this project, we'll leave the link down below. It's on Kickstarter right now, or will be whenever.
It will be.
Yeah, the link will be down below, so click that, check it out.
And read all about it. Extra. Well, for our question of the day, if you could have a newspaper, what would the name of that newspaper be?
Wow.
The Daily Tyler?
There's so many options.
Daily Tyler.
Oh.
No, he doesn't like it.
No,
What do you think?
I don't think I like that. I would probably be like, I'd probably stick with the animal theme and probably go with like the Daily Otter Reading or something like that. Because it's like, a play on words. Like
the other reading?
The Daily Other Reading.
What is an other reading?
Well, that's what you'll have to figure out.
Do you have to read a newspaper before that one?
No, you don't. That's the great thing is maybe this is the stuff you're missing out on.
Oh, I think mine would be Read Me.
Plain and simple.
Just nice.
I love it.
I'll have a Read Me, please.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I'll have all the hot topic, trendy news that make the world a better place.
Slammed with ads.
No!
Well, anyways, let us know what your paper would be called down below, and let us know if you're going to be taking a look into Fit to Print.
Yeah, check out that Kickstarter and give us a like if you enjoyed this video, a thumb, maybe that subscribe button, maybe that bell notification if you want more videos to be just shouting at you from our end.
Yeah, I just see Ilya in the corner like, extra.
New video! New video!
Anyways, that's us and Fit to Print. We will see you in the next one.
I always start waving early.
Yeah, I usually try to drag it out to see how long you'll wait for.
Waving! Bye!